Welcome guys, this is my first YouTube video. You can also catch me on OCN at Doc Take Duty. I'll have it below in the description. Today we're going to be working on a R9 295X2. This is one of my few graphics cards I have. Right now on my main rig I'm running two 980s. We'll be doing those here soon. I'm actually going to be doing a quad SLI build with 5960X. Here soon, and we'll go over that. But for now, the 295X2 is actually going in a Corsair 250D build I'm doing. We're actually be using a EK nickel plexi block. We've actually already flushed it and everything. You kind of see the fingerprints on the nickel plating right here. We'll clean that up when we get ready to install it. This graphics card will fit in the 250D. It's not an easy fit, but it does fit. And as we progress through this in more videos, I will show you how I got to fit into the 250D when I get ready to install it in it. But without further ado, let's start tearing into this. First thing we need to do, guys, we need to flip the card over. You got some little screws here. You're going to need a little eyeglass screwdriver for these to take these bolts off. The first ones you actually need to take off. There's 4 on each side. There's 4 on each side. You got 4 right there. All 4 of these bolts have to come out. Now with all 4 of those screws out, you got 2 screws right here. These need to be removed next. Alright, so now we got these screws removed for the sides. I'm going to push these screws over here. I always put them in little baggies when I'm done, so I can keep up with them. Now with those removed, this cooler just pops right off. As you can see down below, it's kind of hard. You got 2 plugs that are plugged into this. This plug right here is going to be for your LED light that lights up right here, your Radeon. We need to get that removed. Now this one can be kind of hard to remove. Mine, I can just pull it off and it came out, but sometimes you may have to take a flathead and get in there and pry it up a little bit. But as you can see with that exposed now, we got this wire right here. This goes to our fan. We need to disconnect that. Now with that off, we have our shroud, or at least our cover off, and we can get to where else we need to be. So now with that off, you can see the pumps that are on here, along with the VRM heat sinks. So with that, we will flip this over again. And let me untangle these piping. Alright, so with that removed, now we'll zoom out a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. I know it may not be the perfect thing. Oops. Wrong way. So, with that removed, I know it's kind of hard to see, but we got a whole bunch of screws here holding this back plate on. This back plate also holds that front heat sink shroud, like the little cover of the PCB, holds it in place. And these 8 screws hold the cooler on the cores, and these 4 have to be removed. These use a smaller eyeglass screwdriver. They can be a pain. They are spring loaded on the back side to keep the tension. So without further ado, let's remove these and get to work on the rest of it. So now that we got the cores removed, went ahead and did those first. With these plates though, you will have to put tension on them, or put a lot of pressure on them to get them to fit down in there just right. They are very shallow, so it will take a little bit of pressure because the one I'm using is angled. I know you can't really see it, sorry about it, but you can see that mine's actually angled a little bit. It's trying to focus in. But so now we got those removed, we'll go ahead and remove these cores. Water cooling for the cores. Well, this one don't want to pop off. There it goes. Alright. So now with these off, this right here, this wire is for your pumps, wired for your pumps for them to kick on. We'll go ahead and remove those. So now with that removed, you are left with these that do go on it. So we'll go ahead and put that to the side now. So now we're left with just this black piece. This black piece needs to come off so we can get the water block installed. So with that, we'll flip it back over and we'll finish removing these screws. Alright, so as you can see now, I have removed all the screws for this back plate. Now it does have thermal pads on the back side for your VRAM, and with those it may be kind of hard to get off because they usually stick, so you may just have to kind of wiggle it back and forth, and some of them may stick to your VRAM, but as you can see none of mine did. All mine came off except one actually. So if you have that problem, you can just peel it right off, stick it back on its belonging spot. So now with that done, I'll put this to the side and this will go back in the original box. That way I always have it in case I decide to sell the card, which I probably will eventually, and that way I can put it back to stock if the second buyer would like it. So now with that removed, we are left with this. We moved those back plate, or these two screws on the back, so we'll be able to pull this off now. That heat sink and everything should come off. We'll probably get some thermal pads again. As you can see, for your voltage regulators, we got all those, and then our thermal pads from here. We'll pull those off. We'll stick those back on here, and once again that'll leave us in good shape for where we need to be now. If I can get these back off. Alrighty, so I'll set that over there to the side. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the R9 295X2 naked. Still one piece I gotta remove, just because this piece right here, this bolt, this screw, needs to come off because our EK Waterblock actually has the single slot PCI Express connector with it, so we will be using that, seeing how it makes it pretty much a single slot. This right here is our Plx chip. This is what distributes the PCI Express lanes for both the cards, so they get their bandwidth that they need. Without that, all dual GPUs have that chip in it. Some Z97 boards have that chip, high-end ones. That way you can actually run 3 or 4 cards in a Z97 build, where you normally wouldn't have the PCI Express lanes. So with that, I gotta grab my sockets because I forgot to. And I just set them in here. So what we need the socket for, and I can't remember which size. Might be this one. Yeah. So we got a 5mm. What we're removing is these two nuts. That way, for the DVI port, that way we can install our new I/O bracket on here. Alright, so with that removed now, you can just kind of squeeze that off. And now we really are left with a naked card. So with that being naked and all this being done, it is time for the next fun part. And we will be cleaning the graphics card off. I use this Kroger brand, but I always use the highest percentage alcohol I can. Makes it a lot easier. You'll use this, clean your cores off. I usually use toilet paper or something of that nature. But I'll clean the card off and we'll be right back. So guys, we're back again. Went ahead and cleaned off all the thermal paste off the stock cooler, and went ahead and cut the RAM modules off for our water block here. These all come with long sheaths. These have got lines that you just cut over the lines and in place. These two squares that you see right here, these are for our cores, and this one right here is for our Plx chip, because your Plx chip does get very hot when operating, so you need to have it cooled. Those three sections are actually cooled by thermal paste, and for the thermal paste I actually use MX4. I find this to be some of the best stuff that I use. I've tried everything from Gillette Extreme to pretty much everything. Gillette Extreme, I've tried the paste on liquid metal that comes in the sheets, and you just put it on there. And this is the stuff that I like. Now, of course, the liquid metal paste on sheets, that goes on your CPU, but I found this to be great for GPUs for MX4, and I use it on my CPUs too. As you can see, I buy the 20 grams now, because I used to buy little ones and I go through them in a week or two, and these big ones last me a lot longer. So with that said, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of thermal paste on our cores here. Now, you don't need a lot. It will spread, and it does spread quite nicely. EK does send you some thermal paste with their block. I don't use it. I use my own. It is pretty good stuff though, but like I said, I think this is a little bit better in the long run. So now I got thermal paste all over my hand. So now we got that on there. We'll go ahead and do this. I mean, I skipped a step. Should have done this first, but it's not going to hurt it. We are going to put on the I/O shield now. That way we have that on there. Let me pour these screws out and washers. So we'll be using all this. We are putting a back plate on it, so it'll be kind of a little bit different than normal. So this is our I/O shield that we'll be replacing that big one with. And it's just like the other one. You'll mount it on the block, or mount it on the GPU, and it screws in just like everything else. So without further ado, let's do this. So we'll mount it on there. And just to hold it in place when I do the screws, remember those two nuts I took off here that hold the DVI in? I go ahead and put those on. I mean, you can do it in whichever order you'd like, but I find this is easier because it helps hold it in place once I kind of get on there. Now with anything like these, before you take the socket to it, I always recommend that you hand start. That way you don't get a cross thread and mess up your threads in there. Once you have a good couple turns and you can tell it's not cross thread, you can take your little socket. You don't even need a socket wrench on it. You may need it to take it off, but once you kind of get it tight, you can get it hand tight and they're not going to go anywhere. But if you want the extra little security, you can take a wrench and tighten it all the way, give it one little quarter turn to make it super snug. So now we got those mounted back on. We got a hole up here at the top. We got right there. Now what that is, looks like I don't have it on me. You actually got a nut and bolt. Well, actually I take that back because this isn't in video. This is, I think this is actually cropped back where it's threaded. So what I'm going to do is take that. If I remember right, this is backwards threaded. NVIDIA has it to where the car goes through it. There we go. Once again, you want to get a hand start right there. It's the wrong bolt. Where's that bolt at? That was one of these weird ones. That was the bigger one. Which one was it? Yeah, I found the short one. I moved them out of the stop bags and put them in another bag. Alright. Well, I'm going to put this on hold while I go get the correct screw, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I found the correct screw and went ahead and put it in. Like I said, it just goes in from the back and it'll screw all the way through. This one's, you got the threads on the inside of the board, whereas usually the NVIDIA has the bolt that actually goes through and there's a locking nut on the back. I do like this a lot better than the way they do the NVIDIA blocks. So now that we got that done, pretty much time to mount the block. Since we are putting a back plate on it, we will leave certain screws empty. I do have the EK Waterblock or EK back plate with it. I've already went ahead and put this on there and test fit. You can see the indentions where I've already test fitted it to make sure these all lined up. This does passively cool your again, your voltage regulators, your core, your VRAM, all that stuff. That one's a little crooked. All that stuff. These pads do come with a back plate. Of course, the back plate is extra. It is not included. But I do like their back plates versus just regular old stock one. The reason I like them is they are pretty much like a glossy metal black, the EK logo, and I think it's just a very clean look that they do. But again, that's personal preference. You can use pretty much any water block you'd like with it, or any back plate you'd like with it, or water block. So with that exposed, we'll go ahead and mount this. So I'll go ahead and line these up. You got your holes and everything, but you want to try and make sure you line it up, because of course you got thermal paste on there. So lining it up makes this a whole lot easier. So I think I pretty much have it on point. There's only one way to find out. So we'll flip it over. And I'm always very careful, just because I don't want to scratch up the new block and everything, especially since it's going in a new build. I want it to look clean for the original pictures. So now I got my head in the way while I was trying to line it up. We'll go ahead and spin this around so I can see it at a better angle. Alright, so we got this all lined up, which is great. So as you can see, we got all of our screw holes lined up. I'll go ahead and start putting all these screw holes in, but remember, we won't be putting the holes that match up with these, because these will use different bolts that they sent with the back plate for those. Also on these, as you can see, you got washers, these little clear washers. These will actually go between your bolt and the graphics card, just to make sure there's no short, which is very nice, because you don't want your graphics card shorting out for any reason. So we will start putting this together. I usually start with the cores, and I won't get them tight right now. I'll get them kind of snug, and then I'll come back around and tighten them, and I'll see you when they're done. Okay guys, so now that I got all those not tight, but just snug, I've been trying to kind of see where my water block would line up, and as you can see, I pretty much got them all. I'm just missing this one hole right here, and the rest of these will have these other bolts in them. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these snug, and then we will go on from there. Alright guys, so we got those tight. Now with those tight, we're going to move on over to the back plate. Now, as you can see, all these are done. All these silver areas right here, those are where our back plate bolts are going to go. Now these are back plates. These are Allen wrenches. They do send you an included Allen wrench for these. That way you can install them and you don't need to go run to the store and buy yours. So it will install this. Your EK logo always goes down by your PCI Express connectors. So you'll line your holes up just like you did with the water block. Kind of line them up, get them where they need to go. And from there, once again, you don't want to tighten these all the way down for alignment issues till you get all your screws in here. That way, if it isn't perfectly aligned for the next hole, you can easily move the block and get it to where you need it to be. When I did the 780 Ti's, I had that issue where I didn't realize that was a pain in the butt. Once I kind of realized that I messed up there. But I'll see you when these are done. Alright guys, so we got this done. This is our R9 295X2. Now with our full custom water block is. I have ran this car before, just to let you know. And it was running about 70 to 74 degrees Celsius and maxing out on the temps. And with that was a big pain. Because of course with any card you don't want it topping out. So we did get this on. Hopefully the temps will drop. I don't expect a huge drop in temps with the loop that's going to be in it. It's only going to be running a 120 and a 240 slim. The 120 will be a regular 60mm. The 240 be a 30mm. It'll be cool in a 40 and a 790K and a this card and this 250D build with a full custom loop. Should be fun. Piping it all up. I will be using Primachill's rigid acrylic tubing. So please feel free, check it out. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Subscribe. We'll be doing next. After that, we'll be doing some GTX 980s and seeing how that goes in that 5960X build coming up here in the next 2 or 3 months. But yes, please like. I will let you guys know once I get this booted up and running, get this build running, what I think of this versus my old 3780 Ti's in retrospect, and versus my 980s. See which one can do the best. Thank you guys for watching.